Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. It's something that touches millions of lives. Our mission here is to look at your sources, kind of cut through the noise, the common myths, and really get a handle on the symptoms, their impact, and why being aware matters so much. Consider this your shortcut to grasping what ADHD really is. But hey, before we jump right in, just a quick thing. For amazing insights like what we're covering today on ADHD, you've seriously got to check out mindexpansiondaily.com. And look, if this stuff gets you thinking, if it sparks something, do us a favor. Please take a second to like and subscribe to Mind Expansion Daily. It really helps us build this community exploring mental health and neurodiversity. And if you really value the info we're sharing, maybe support us by buying us a coffee. Links right there in the description. Easy peasy. Finally, as we go through all this, here's a little challenge for you. Drop a comment below. Tell us if you agree or disagree with how we're summing this up. And please, please let us know where in the world you're listening from. We're really trying to grow this thing worldwide. Okay, so let's unpack this. We're aiming to go deeper than just the usual stuff about ADHD today. Pinpoint those common, maybe misunderstood symptoms, and really explore how far their impact reaches.
Yeah, and what's truly striking is just how widespread this is. You look at the 2024 CDC data centers for disease control and prevention, and it's hitting 9.8% of kids in the U.S. That's what, 6.1 million?
Wow, 6.1 million kids.
And 4.4% of adults, too, another 10.5 million people. But here's the kicker, and your sources point this out again and again. Maybe 50% of cases, they go undiagnosed.
Wow, that's huge.
It is, and it means their struggles often get written off as, laziness or lack of effort. And that's not just a number. It leads to real shame, broken relationships, missed chances. So understanding this, it makes awareness, well, it makes it transformative, not just nice to have.
That's a really powerful way to frame it.
Yep.
I think a lot of us have this sort of general picture of ADHD, maybe someone who can't sit still or gets easily distracted, right? But for our audience who, follows this stuff, digging into the nuances seems key. What about the symptoms that aren't so obvious or get mistaken for something else? Like what comes to mind first, and how does it look beyond the stereotypes?
You're spot on. The common ideas, they barely scratch the surface. Let's take inattention. It's way more than just like checking your phone when you shouldn't.
Right.
It's this deep difficulty staying locked onto tasks. Your mind just drifts even when you're really trying to focus. And that hits a huge number, like 80% of ADHD cases.
80%.
Yeah. And hyperactivity, we often picture kids bouncing off walls, but in adults, it can be this internal feeling like a buzzing or just this constant need to be doing something, even if they look calm on the outside. That affects about half of kids, maybe 30% of adults.
Huh. That difference between fidgeting outside and feeling restless inside. That's really important. And then there's impulsivity. I guess that's more than just blurting things out.
Oh, absolutely. Impulsivity hits about 60%. It means acting without really thinking through the consequences. Yeah, it can be interrupting, but also snap decisions, maybe even risky behaviors. It's like the brain's pause button isn't quite working right. So these are the symptoms many people might list first. And they are fundamental. Just being able to spot these signs, that's the first step to understanding those 16.6 million Americans and why recognizing it matters so much. It's more than just a label.
Okay, so it sounds kind of straightforward when you listen like that, but your sources suggest it's trickier in reality, isn't it? These symptoms can be hard to spot, maybe look like other things, or just get dismissed.
That's exactly where it gets interesting. There was a study, 2023, Journal of Attention Disorders, found 60% of cases get misdiagnosed at first.
60%. Misdiagnosed as what?
Often it's just laziness or maybe stress, sometimes even depression. And it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all thing. Like inattention hits 70% of cases, right? But it can look just like regular distraction or being overwhelmed.
Yeah, I can see that.
And hyperactivity, the Mayo Clinic notes this, it might just seem like someone's generally restless. Plus, the severity varies wildly. Mild cases might just mess up your workflow a bit. Severe cases, they can totally derail daily life. CHADDB, that's children and adults with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, they report 25% of adults with ADHD have lost jobs because of it.
Wow. So it's not just what the symptoms are, but how they show up, how severe they are, and how people interpret them.
Yeah.
That variability.
Yeah,
it really shows why awareness is so critical. Like that X post you mentioned, the one with 12,000 likes. Thought my kid was just energetic ADHD explains so much. It just clicks, doesn't it?
Exactly. And when it does click, when there's early diagnosis, the benefits are huge. ADHD magazine, just this year, 2024, reported it cuts school dropouts by 15%. 15. And workplace problems for adults. down by 20%.
That's significant.
It really is. And treatment therapy, meds, whatever works, the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry says it boosts focus by 50% and like 70% of people. That's a game changer. But flip that coin. The cost of not recognizing it is steep. Well, NIMH National Institute of Mental Health says 40% of undiagnosed folks struggle with low self-esteem. Psychology Today points to 30% having relationship problems, often just from misunderstandings. It's just like that other ex-post, the one with 15,000 likes, said, "Thought I was just scatterbrained ADHD, diagnosis changed everything." Awareness helps people understand themselves and helps others understand them too.
Okay, so we've hit the main ones: inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity, and why they're tricky. But you mentioned sources highlighting other key symptoms, ones that often get missed, even if you kind of know the basics. What are those?
Right. This is super important because beyond that main trio, there are two areas that are really central to the ADHD experience but often fly under the radar. First one, emotional dysregulation.
Emotional dysregulation.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like?
It affects about 40% of people with ADHD, and it's not just being a bit moody, it's this real difficulty managing emotions, leads to intense reactions, maybe way out of proportion to the situation, or big mood swings.
Okay, so it's about the intensity and maybe the control of emotions, not just having them. Makes sense. What's the other one?
The second is time management issues. This is around 60%. It's that constant battle with planning, setting priorities, guessing how long things will take.
Ah, the chronic lateness thing.
That's part of it, yeah. Chronic lateness, missed deadlines, real trouble just getting started on stuff. It's not about not caring, you know? It's a genuine challenge with what we call executive functions, those brain skills for planning, organizing, managing yourself. Spotting these two, the emotional side and the time side, adds so much depth. It shows ADHD isn't just about focus or energy, it's tied right into how your brain manages life, day to day.
That really does broaden the picture. And thinking about these wider challenges, it makes it clear that ignoring ADHD isn't just about being a bit disorganized. It sounds like it can snowball into really serious problems.
Exactly. The ripple effect is, well, it's profound. We talked about low self-esteem hitting 40%, right? That's from NIMH. And the relationship strain, 30% from Psychology Today. Then there's school and work. CHCD says 25% of students with ADHD face academic failure, 20% of adults lose jobs.
Oof.
And the mental health links are stark too, Journal of Clinical Psychiatry. 50% develop anxiety or depression alongside it. And tragically, the APA American Psychiatric Association finds 15% turn to substance use to cope. It's heavy stuff. That ex-post, the one with 18,000 likes, it nailed it. Undiagnosed ADHD cost me my job, help exists, seek it.
And you mentioned certain groups are at even higher risk.
Yeah.
That makes awareness even more critical for them.
Absolutely. Kids, 6 to 17, 9.8% prevalence, and boys are diagnosed about twice as often as girls, though that gap might be closing as we get better at spotting it in girls. Adults, 4.4% affected, but remember, half might be undiagnosed.
Still that 50% gap.
Still that 50%. And family history. If it runs in the family, your risk is about 40% higher. Plus, if you have other conditions like anxiety or learning disorders, the ADHD symptoms can be about 30% more severe. But, and this is key, there's real hope. Treatment works. Meds, therapy. They improve outcomes by 60%. That's from the Journal of Attention Disorders.
So, okay, what does all this really mean for someone listening who might be going through this? Or for their family, their friends trying to figure it out? It just screams the need for empathy, right? And getting support. Not blame. Like that other expo said, ADHD isn't a flaw, get support and thrive. It's about seeing the struggle, not judging the person. Let's make this even more real. Your source has had a powerful case study, right? This woman diagnosed late at 35.
Yeah, a classic example, unfortunately.
She struggled for years. Impulsivity, inattention, lost jobs, friendships got strained.
Yeah.
And she blamed herself, thought she was just failing somehow.
Internalized it completely.
Then, diagnosis. Therapy, medication. And it was like a switch flipped. She finally understood why she struggled, learned how to manage things, started rebuilding her career, her relationships. That story, and you said it was echoed in another X-post with 15K likes, it just shows how recognition isn't just a label, it's life-changing. From blame to understanding. Huge.
It really is. And that individual story, it connects right into the bigger picture. Recognizing ADHD isn't just good for the person, it has massive societal benefits too.
Like economically?
Yeah, economically and socially. McKinsey's data from this year, early diagnosis cut school suspensions 15%, job turnover 20%. They estimate that saved around $3 billion.
Wow. billion with a B.
Right, and awareness campaigns. CHADD says they reached 20 million people, boosted screening rates by 25%, and education helps cut down that misdiagnosis rate, remember, 50%. Journal of Attention Disorders says education makes a big dent in that. Globally, the WHO World Health Organization figures 366 million people have ADHD, and maybe 30% of the problems linked to it could be prevented.
It shows that public understanding really can drive change. Like that X post calling for ADHD education in schools. 22,000 likes, you said. Gaining real traction.
Exactly. And think about the US. 1 in 10 kids, 1 in 20 adults have ADHD, says the CDC. If we boost awareness, McKinsey projects we could prevent 25% of complications. That could save $10 billion by 2030. It shows how these simple steps, just knowing the symptoms, understanding the impact they ripple outwards, huge effect on individual lives and on public health overall.
So, wrapping this up for you listening, what does it all mean? We dove deep today, right? We confirmed those core ADHD symptoms everyone kind of knows: inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity. But maybe more importantly, we shone a light on those often missed ones, like emotional dysregulation and time management troubles. It really shows ADHD is, well, complex, way more than the stereotypes. Getting diagnosed early. It's just vital for the 16.6 million Americans affected. It slashes those complication rates like depression, hitting half of untreated cases. Like that 2025 Expo said, the one with 20,000 likes. No ADHD, support ADHD. Awareness builds empathy, builds support. It's essential. So please share your experiences. Tell us where you're listening from down below. Let's keep growing this Mind Expansion Daily community across the globe. And definitely tune in for our next deep dive. We're going to explore practical coping strategies for ADHD.
And just to leave you with something to think about, knowing all this now about how varied and complex ADHD is, about the science behind it, how might that change the way you think about or talk about things like laziness or lack of effort, either in your own life or maybe with the people around you? Something to mull over.